Hello, everybody. My name is Keith Frey. I'm a Senior Product Manager at Purelink. Welcome to our Distance Communications Solutions webinar. We'll be spending a little around an hour just going through the different solutions we have and looking at application. If you all could bear with me, we've got some people still coming on to the webinar, so please stand by. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Thanks. All right, again, Keith Frey, that's me from Purelink. As people come on, well, we'll just get going. Thanks for joining us today and spending your time with us. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and shoot those over to me, and we'll try to get those answered. I also apologize in advance. I have a little bit of a cough today, but we'll get through this. So let's go ahead and get moving here. Just to get everybody on the same page. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of changes in the world today in remote or distance communications. Even in my own family, my wife, who used to go to an office, no longer goes there. She works remotely, and my son takes classes online for both school as well as his martial arts program that he's in. They actually do that remotely now. So a lot of things have changed. Markets you wouldn't even think of, applications, we'll kind of touch on those. And a lot of these slides, by the way, are references for you guys. You have them as handouts to look through. So I'll glaze over some of these as we're going. But the goals for the time we're together today is to look at scenarios where you're moving from in-person communications to distance communications, but also not to overlook, there's been many scenarios, applications where distance communications was already going on. So how do you improve the experience for the viewer? That's an important topic that we're going to go over today. And one example is where a laptop webcam is not going to be sufficient for the quality of presentation that you want to have your viewer experience. And we'll just look at various applications like I mentioned before, and of course, Purelink solutions. All right, so I assume everybody can hear me. If somebody wants to confirm that, I'd appreciate it. Just to get everybody on the same page, who is Purelink? I would imagine some of you are new to our company. We've actually been around almost 2 decades, and in fact, there's a great many number of innovations in the market that were pioneered by Purelink. It's really one of these engineering-centric companies that came to the market offering new ideas to solve problems that were unsolved. For example, the market's first fiber digital video cable was from Purelink, the world's first DVI matrix router from Purelink, and the first HDCP key management on matrix routing was from Purelink, along with cross-platform matrix routers and many, many other innovations are under the belt of Purelink. And there's a lot of markets we serve, including one of our largest markets is military government. So we do a lot of critical viewing command centers, and also in the corporate private sectors as well. We do utilities, transportation, and so on. So what I'm trying to get across is quality. The products are meant for durability and quality in those types of markets, but we do many, many others, medical, home theater, and so on. Okay, so please check out our website, and we also offer a lot of services, including pre-sales design. So we'll gladly help you suss out any designs you have. So give us a call. We'll be glad to help you out. All right, so let's talk about the challenges for distance communications. I pointed out, while a lot of people are doing Zoom on their laptop, that's not going to solve every situation. For example, sorry, fixed field of view. So that really limits you to what control you have over what the viewer is seeing. And that's an important concept, is being able to control what's being viewed, right? Fixed field of view camera, it's not necessarily going to let you do that. It's connected to a monitor, so if you're trying to tilt and pan it, that's pretty annoying. I'm sure you've all done it. I've done it. So that's an issue. It's difficult to present multiple presenters or objects in that situation. Maybe you're trying to do what I'm doing, show multiple products, and a single view is not really helpful. You'll see in a moment, I'm going to pan and zoom into different products. I'm also relying on a built-in microphone in a lot of these cases. That may not give me the best sound quality. Maybe I'm moving around trying to do different presentation. Okay, and just overall quality. So maybe you want something better for your viewer. You want higher quality optics or control over automatic exposure or white balance. Maybe you're trying to show products or objects and you want them to be showed accurately. So just some ideas for the solutions. Well, you really have two categories of what you need to present. You need audio and you need visual, you need video, right? So for those who have studied audio physics or taken any type of audio classes, you probably know about the inverse square law. Proximity to presenter can really improve quality of the audio. Of course, it has to be a decent microphone or pickup, right? So that's an important factor in video. Camera independent of presenters, laptop monitor. That's a big point because now I have the ability to focus exactly on what I want to show. Also, the ability to zoom into object or product or person allows me to set my framing, my field of view, and that would allow you to have a higher quality presentation. And of course, ability to tilt and pan and presets, so you can have multiple different views from one camera. And you're going to see that in just a little bit. So all the different scenarios that might be affected by the new normal that you would apply distance communication solutions to would be, gyms and schools and churches, even parties now, trade shows, as most of you may know, Infocom and ISC, uh, those didn't happen. So they're doing remote. Presentations have been around for a while. Now it's a matter of, like I mentioned before, how do you make it better? Concerts, there's a lot of online stuff now. I believe Elton John and Tim McGraw, just to name a couple, they've been going to sound stages and doing shows that are broadcasted, uh, shopping, medical, and many more. So these are just bullet points for you to think about what situations need solutions now. And even as uh, you see fluctuations in coronavirus, there are a lot of companies and markets that are deciding to stick with distance communications because this is also fluctuating. Things like this may happen again. There's people who may never feel comfortable after this. It's just uh, there is permanent change regardless of what happens with the coronavirus, and we're seeing that because there's one interesting market we've seen is funeral homes. There's quite a few of them ramping up, going from no distance communications to a complete system. My son's school is now completely outfitted with PTZ cameras throughout the classrooms, and that's permanent. Okay, and these are just examples. They're reference slides. We're not going to spend a lot of time on these, but this is actually my son's Taekwondo online. They weren't doing that before. And here's a classroom, and this is a Zoom situation. So this, doesn't really, I'm not sure you're going to buy your kid $1,000 camera, but there's also churches. And in this case, we've seen a lot of interesting applications here for PTZ cameras. That's common to begin with because churches often are streaming to shut-ins, but there was a lot of churches that weren't doing that, and now even more than ever, uh, more churches are getting involved in distance communications, and they may have a PTZ camera or two. So they're doing maybe a pastor and a worship pastor or a choir or a band. So all sorts of combinations of distance communication solutions are being utilized for them. And just as a side note, for any of you who are integrators or reps, there is over 400,000 churches in North America. I have no doubt that a number like that, there's some of them who really need help getting up to speed on distance communications. Okay, and parties, trade shows. In fact, Purelink had done a trade show in June called Purelink Now. That was the whole thing was live online with our PTZ cameras. So please actually check out our YouTube videos on that. That might be interesting. Presentations. So again, PTZ cameras and presentations would really ramp up the presenter's ability to frame what they want to show. For example, if this guy is just doing a talking head thing and then he wants to, use a green screen or have something behind him, he may want to zoom out the camera. Like I mentioned, live concerts. That's Keith Urban, by the way, doing a live concert. And shopping, of course. That's also taking off. That's been going on a while, but now even more so. So, what kind of tools? Again, we talked about audio and video. So, if we get down to brass tacks, what do you need? In the visual side of things, you're going to need a camera, anywhere from a laptop camera all the way up to, 20x zoom, PTZ camera with all sorts of output connectivity, and then control of automatic gain, noise reduction, exposure, white balance, lots of things to think about there. As in terms of audio, you're going to need a microphone, and to improve on one that's just built into a laptop, or maybe, as I said before, a lot of the applications I showed you, a laptop's not even going to work anymore. So a headset microphone, like what I'm using today, or a handheld or a lapel mic. So those are all options. And of course, the internet. So you got to have the internet to do distance communications. So you need to be able to encode and stream your signal out onto the internet. So you may have a streaming encoder. We're going to show you a product like that today. That's very nice. And then it may be a laptop with Zoom or GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, or Microsoft Teams, things like that, or conferencing equipment. So conferencing codec hardware. All right, and these are also some reference slides, but just to point out, there's different connections and they're useful in different ways in different situations. So you've got cameras with USB outputs, audio devices with USB outputs, and that's pretty commonly hooked up to laptops or desktops. Whereas HDMI or DVI, that's more commonly hooked up to a broadcast switch, production presentation switch, and the same holds true with SDI. So those connections might be in a more larger or mid-size production or presentation situation. Maybe you have more than one camera. You got a camera and some laptops that you're trying to show some slides on, like I'm doing. And then finally LAN, and that's where you're just going right to the network. And in those cases, you're just streaming right off your devices. Okay, I apologize. I thought I actually had that slide up, but I was showing a different slide. So here's the slide I was just talking about. I apologize, but this covers everything I just said. So we'll move on to the next slide. Other things that you want to think about for your application: fixed cameras, cameras that don't move, don't zoom, use just a general focus. Is that sufficient for what you need? Or maybe what's called electronic pan tilt zoom. We have one camera that uses electronic pan tilt zoom, and really all that's going on there is you're taking the output signal from the camera and you're just zooming in and panning around that. Or you go with optomechanical, where the camera can pan and tilt and the lens can zoom in and out. Sorry, I'm trying to mute when I'm coughing so it's not as offensive. Okay, so just jumping right in, let's look at the hardware that we have. And I'm about to show you this in an actual live view here. But we've got 6 different cameras, so they solve different requirements for applications. So I'll go through each one of those. And then we also have a speakerphone, and this is actually pretty nice. I don't have it with me, so I'm going to talk about this one first, but I have everything else. We also have a camera controller, which you're going to see live in action. Our streaming encoder, and then our production broadcast switch. And we're going to take a look at each one of those. So first, let me talk about the speakerphone. That is all metal construction with capacitive touch buttons on the top that illuminate. So you've got volume up, down, mute, and so on. And you can actually also plug in an auxiliary audio input. This is a USB speakerphone. So you would plug it in to a Windows, Mac, Android type product, laptop, and so on. But you can also have an auxiliary input, and it actually sounds pretty good. It's got a 4-inch speaker in it. I have it on my desk usually for music, but it has a really nice pickup range, 6-meter diameter pickup range, and it's loud. It's as loud as you need it to be. So it's well made. Price is really great. Please take a look at that on our website. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move to my live camera view. Now I'm actually using a Cam 20, which is the little black camera on the far right of the table. Okay, and I'm using the preset functionality in the camera. We're going to look at the 2 monitor mounted cameras first, but just to point out that when we get to these PTZ cameras, they all have remote controls, and we'll talk about the presets on those. So these 2 cameras, the one on the bottom, that's our 1080p30 camera with a built-in microphone. It's got USB 2.0 output on it, and I'll try to do my best here to show you, but it's got a tripod mount, and I can also adjust the clamp so that I can clamp it at different angles on a monitor. So what's really good about that is I can put that on a laptop. I can put it on a monitor of any size, and it's easy to get set up. It's plug and play. Something I want to make sure I'm clear about is we don't do consumer products. We do, as I mentioned, the markets before. We produce products that are really on the higher end, so the quality of image you'll notice is better than a lot of the other products that look similar to these products. Okay, so moving on, if nobody has any questions about that camera, that's also really good price considering the quality of the optics and pickup on that and the mountability. The next camera behind that, that's our 4K 30 camera. That's also USB 2.0 with built-in microphone and the same type of mounting capability as its little brother. Again, really sweet optics, and it's a true 4K chip in there. These cameras both have automatic aim control, as well as the ability to adjust the white point on it. When you go into the application that you would use for the cameras, you can get into a console with parameter adjustments on these cameras that allow you to make those adjustments. Okay, so those are our two monitor mounted cameras. I'm going to go ahead and have you look at our Cam 10. Now this is our cost-effective pan tilt zoom camera. This also still has a great picture on it. It has USB output for the video, and it has a RS-232 control port on it. So I can control this using either Visca or Pelco control protocols. And for those of you who are aware of those two protocols, those are pretty universal. Most controllers, absolutely ours, provide those two protocols for control. So one note I'd like everybody to make is that I can mix and match our cameras and controllers with other products as long as they're Visca or Pelco compliant, which most are. So if you already have a camera and you want to add our cameras to that system and use your existing controller, that's not an issue. If you want to use our controller, you can do that. So please don't forget that. Okay, so again, this is a 10x optical zoom, and it comes with a full function remote control, and that remote control allows me to do pan tilt zoom and set up different presets on it. I'm going to see if I can show you the remote here. So this is the remote. As you can see, I can quickly do zooms, pan, tilt, and then I can set my presets, and I can get into an online menu to make other adjustments to the exposure and white balance and so on. So lots of powerful adjustment capability in the camera. And I will tell you, the automatic adjustments do a great job on this camera and the other ones. Okay, so again, you guys have any questions, just write them out and I'll get to those. So we're going to take a look at the Cam 20 now. And this is the camera that I'm actually using. This is just another one of them. So you can see this has a nice small footprint on it, so I'm trying to get the glare off of it. This one has 10x optical zoom and it has 12x digital zoom. So those two multiply together to get 120x total zoom. This camera also has USB 2.0 video out, 1080p 30, but it also has HDMI out, and they work in parallel. So I can use either or both. It also has Visca and Pelco control. In fact, I'll try to show you a little of that. So I'm actually controlling this right now with my my controller. You can see the lens move in and out. Yeah. So this very good chip in here, and also very good processing, full featured menu in this product. And in fact, since it is the same camera as what I'm using, I can bring up for you that menu, and you can see I've got lots of video controls in here. I can even adjust my gamma curve. My dynamic noise reductions are all there. I've got some presets available, typical sharpness, brightness, contrast. I've got exposure controls, fully automatic with some offsets if I want, backlight compensation, anti-flicker, and here I can set manual or use primary shutter, and so on. So there's a lot of choices here. Any application you have, you'll have what you need to get this camera set up. I can also do white balance adjustments, and you can see I've got RGB gains on there. I can also do auto white tracking, as well as one push balance. So if you have a chip chart, this is really helpful. And then of course I've got some presets that I can flip through to quickly adjust the camera. Okay, and then pan, tilt, zoom. I've got the ability to regulate the speed of the pan and tilt, but I can also use what's called ratio speed, which you'll see down near the bottom of the menu. Ratio speed automatically speeds up or slows down the pan and tilt functionality based on how my zoom is set. So if I'm zoomed really far away, I don't want fast pan tilt. That would be a nightmare. So the camera will automatically slow down the pan tilt to something reasonable. And then if you're zoomed out where you have a very wide shot, then it will speed up the pan tilt. So it makes those adjustments as it detects the change in your zoom. Okay, also digital zoom limit. So this is something I really like, is if you don't want any digital zoom, you set it to X1, which means multiply the optical zoom times 1, which is nothing, right? So I'm not using any digital zoom. Maybe I don't like digital zoom, so I can effectively turn it off. But maybe I want a little bit. So now I'm taking my 10x camera, I'm giving it a digital multiplier of 2, and now it's a 20x camera, right? Or maybe I want 3 times digital zoom, so that would be 30x, and so on. So I can add as much as I want. We all know that if I use a lot of digital zoom and I zoom way out, then I may have kind of a little some loss of quality in the image. So you have to pick what limit you feel is best, or you may just, the application may decide that for you. Okay, and then last on here is what's called power up action. That means when I turn the camera on, it automatically goes to preset 1. Now I can change that to any one of the first 10 presets. So I got a question from David, and the question is, can you manually white balance the camera? And the answer is yes, I can do that. I think you may have seen me show you that menu already, but yes, I can do that. All right, then let's take a look at the system adjustments in here. I can set the control address and the type of control. So Visca, as you know, I can do up to 7 addresses, and Pelco I can do 255 addresses, and what the baud rate is. And I can set the IR address. Usually you would make it the same, but just to show you guys, here's the remote control that I'm using for the camera. And at the top, just below the home and power button, it shows the, sorry, I'm trying to get in focus. I control cameras 1, 2, 3, or 4 from this remote control. So just make sure you set the IR address if you decide you want to just use the remote. And I can call all the presets and set them by the remote or the controller. And we'll get more into that in a moment. And then just a status page where I can look at certain data. Okay. All right, so that is the CAM20. That's been extremely popular. Really, right now, all the cameras are popular. I'm sure you can figure out why. So let's take a look now at our 100 series. The first one we're going to look at is our CAM100 USB 3. Now, when you get into the CAM100 series, these are really, really nice cameras. Very, very smooth PTZ. Excuse me. If you're doing follow presenter, like let's say a church, for example, the pastor's moving around and you're working the joystick, 24/7 to follow him around. The 100 series is great. So I'll try to show a little bit of that in a moment, but there's definitely very high quality optics, very nice chips in these cameras. So the USB 3, this is 1080p 60 output on USB 3. It will connect USB 2, but you're going to wind up doing 1080p 30 on USB 2. But it also has DVI output, which is compatible with HDMI. So if you just use an adapter on it, you can plug an HDMI cable into it. And it has RS-232 control, both in and out. So I'll show you a little control. This right now I'm using the controller to move that, and I'll show you a preset call here. It's very precise. I love this camera. So that's the first 100 series camera I'll show you, and then we'll look at its brother, which we just call the CAM 100. And this guy has, I'm sorry, there's 12x zoom on the USB 3 camera with 12x digital. So you can have up to 144 zoom on that camera. This is the CAM 100. This camera has 20x optical zoom and 12x digital zoom. So you can have up to 240 zoom. So this thing, very, very awesome zoom capability on it. The outputs on this camera are 3G SDI 1080p 60, HDMI 1080p 60, and LAN H.264 1080p 60. So it's got 3 outputs that you can use simultaneously. All of the PTZ cameras I showed you can do ceiling or desktop, and they have optional brackets for ceiling and wall mount. So keep that in mind. And every one of the cameras has tripod mount. So all the PTZ cameras and the 2 monitor mount cameras all can do tripod mount. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to the controller so you can take a look at that. And this is what I've been controlling the cameras with, but it's extremely easy to use. I simply just pick the camera. So camera 1, pick the camera, and then I can pick the preset, and I instantly have moved the camera, or I can use the 4D joystick. I've got pan, tilt, zoom, which is rotation, and I can press the button on top and change the rotation to focus. And I've got a little indicator on the top that lets me know when I'm in focus mode. There's a little red LED right here. And when I take it out of that, then I'm in zoom mode. So very compact. You can see my hand next to it. Very powerful, extremely easy to use, and very quick to use. And you know that's important in live production, is I got to be able to call a camera and call a preset very fast, and I can do that. Okay, I can also program presets from here, so I can pick a camera to control, and I can move it, and then I can say set preset 9, and that's how easy it is. This is also priced really great. I highly recommend you take a look at this. And again, it can not only control our cameras, but it can control any cameras that comply with VSCA or Pelco protocol. So always look for that when you're looking at cameras. All right, do you guys have any other questions? I don't want to, ignore if there's something that you need me to tell you or answer. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the next item, which is our production switch. Also, very powerful product. This has 4 3G SDI inputs, so that's 1080p 60 inputs, along with 2 HDMI 1080p 60 inputs. So that's very handy if I've got cameras and laptops. So I want to show live images or slides, presentation material. I can easily do that with this unit. I can do typical, crossfade. I can do instant cuts. I can do wipes, fade to black, crossfade, and I can do picture in picture. And I can also mix other audio sources into my output. So maybe I want some walk in or walk out music. I can just play some music into this switch and still mix it with the audio from the 6 camera or 6 SDI and HDMI total inputs. All right, I'm going to show you one last piece of gear, and then I can show you a little more on the controller and switch. The last piece of gear is our VIP stream encoder. And again, these are all in the PowerPoint that are handouts. So please look at the details on that. But what's really great about this product is how easy it is to use. So this will take any HDMI source, 1080p 60, any source that outputs HDMI 1080p 60, and will stream it out on the internet. And you can use tons of different programs, YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, OBS, Boxcast, and more, okay? It doesn't require any external hardware to operate. All it requires is to log into its internal web page and put in the destination URL and key, which if you look in the manual, we give you really clear examples of YouTube and Facebook and how easy it is to just get the destination URL and key and enter it into this device, and then it'll just start streaming. So in cases where there might be low technical ability, maybe a volunteer staff at a church or something like that, the only thing they have to do is have this thing powered on and a signal going into it, and it will stream. So there's no buttons to push or any accidents, somebody forgot to start the stream, anything like that. They just need to check the confidence monitor of whatever their source is and see that there's an output, and this will stream. And if you lose power and power comes back on, it'll automatically just restart the stream. So that's been a really big hit. The feedback we've gotten is people really appreciate that we don't give them things to touch and make mistakes. So there you have it on that. Okay, also price, very, very nice price on this. Please take a look on that. Again, every one of these products has been extremely popular right now, especially that one, because no matter what equipment you've got, the streaming device can stream it. All right, so I'm kind of zooming out to give you a little better view here. I'm doing some adjustments there. Okay, so let me just show you a couple things. So I'm showing you what I've already talked about, but give you a little better view. So I'm going to pick the Cam 100 USB 3, and here you can see I'm moving that. All right, I'm going to call a preset on that. All right, so I've got a chart on the wall, and I'm focusing on that chart, and I'm going to back out of that chart a bit just to give you an idea of the zoom capability. So here I'm zoomed out, and here I'll zoom back in for you. Okay, and again, then I'll just move it a little bit, and you can see I can move it very slowly. I'm zoomed way out right now, but I can, very carefully move it, or I can push the joystick harder, and now I can move it even faster. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and zoom out with the joystick, or I can just show you, just a slow, here, I'll slow down. So the amount that you turn the joystick will determine the speed of zoom. So I'm going really slow right now. All right. Now maybe I want to control a different camera, so I'll quickly flip to that other camera, and I'll call a preset on that. And you'll see that camera move. Let me see if I can find that guy. Recall. I didn't. Okay, I didn't label this. Oh, I'm sorry. That's in one. Sorry. Okay. So there it is. Then I'll do to call. See that moving. Okay, so just demonstrating that. So the two cameras I'm showing right now, this USB 3 and Cam 100, those have 12x digital zoom, both of them. The Cam 100 has 20x digital zoom. Cam 100, I'm sorry, optical zoom. Let me start over so I don't confuse everybody. So the Cam 100, this camera right here, has 20x optical and 12x digital. This camera, USB 3 version, has 12x optical and 12x digital. Okay, that's all written in the slides in the PowerPoint. It's on our product sheets on the website. So all that. In fact, we have a comparison chart. Let me see if that comparison chart got posted, because it just got approved yesterday. Just bear with me for a second. Just a moment. I'm looking at our website. Download section. Yep, good deal. Okay, we have the comparison chart on site. So here I've got my I'm on the Purelink website. I'm looking at the VIP Cam 20 actually at the moment. And I'm going to go into the download section, and here's the comparison chart. And we'll just click preview. Take a look at that chart. And you can see all the cameras and everything about these cameras. Output resolution, the chip, what output connections each camera supports. This is a really great chart. In fact, I should have made this a handout. I'll tell you what, let me download this and I'll add it for you guys. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so if you look at the handout section, it should be on there now. Okay, so definitely use that chart. The chart's really going to be helpful. Okay, there is another presentation that specifically talks about applications. Let me grab that. Okay. Just bear with me. Change monitors. Stand by. Okay. I'm just going to work through this fairly quickly, but we kind of show everything we talked about now from a little more of an application approach. So we've got streaming encoders, the VIP Stream 100 and the Mark II version. The difference between the two of those is the Mark II version supports RTSP output, which is what Facebook requires. And by the way, you don't need OBS or any third-party software here. You can connect directly to Facebook with the Mark II. We have all the cameras listed here and camera control and speakerphone and so on. Okay, so here we give you just some suggestive layouts here for healthcare if you're doing live streaming. In the healthcare industry, you might have one or two cameras, maybe more. If you're doing USB type connectivity, the VIP Cam 20 is a possibility. And again, these are just, I mean, you could use a Cam 10, you could use the 100 USB 3, but we just show some different application suggestions here. Fitness centers, again, live streaming. Here's an example on the left of a configuration you might do. On the right is if you're using Zoom or GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar. Here's some other options from our line. Education, so we list that out. So again, I'm not going to go through every one of these in detail, but this is a presentation in the handout section, communication solution applications. So take a look at that. We also have some charts here that show we actually have broadcast packages that the House of Worship market likes, but applies to plenty of other scenarios. So if you want to look at some of our broadcast packages, just contact us. But this is one of them that just shows a very, very simple system with just one camera streaming out to the internet. More applications. And then here's another broadcast package where you have two cameras and the BS601 production switch and the VIP cam controller. So this shows you another scenario, and all that equipment other than the microphone you can get from Purelink, including network switches. We're the only AV manufacturer in the world who has a complete line of network switches for video over IP. So please take a look at that. Okay, so I appreciate you guys spending an hour with us. Please reach out to us. Let's talk more about what your needs specifically are and how we can help you succeed. And that's it from me. We do have another class at 2 p.m. Eastern, the same class. And then we also teach a networks for video class. This gives you a lot of really good insight on the basics and some intermediate stuff of network requirements for video over IP. And we just invite you to come to our website and look through all the different products, everything from cable adapters to the world's largest matrix routers are on that website. So please take a look, please get in touch with us, and I'll stay on for questions. But thanks again, everybody, for your time, and we hope to hear from you soon.